Hello everyone. In this video, I will talk about merit goods, demerit goods, positive and negative externalities. The objective is to understand what these concepts have in common, but also why they are different. I know that there are many students, teachers, and even sometimes authors who are quite confused about these concepts. So I hope that this video can clarify a few points. The first thing that is worth mentioning is that in any of those four situations, when you have a merit good, demerit good, positive or negative externality, the market fails, which means that you will fail to achieve allocative efficiency, so you will have a deadweight loss. That's the main idea. So that's actually the only thing that these concepts have in common. However, the reason for which the market fails is completely different, and this is what I really want to emphasize in this video. If you look at externalities, the market fails because there is a gap between the social cost or benefit and the private cost or benefit. And the gap is the external cost for negative externality and the external benefit for positive externality. The market fails because individual agents, when they make decisions, consumption or production decisions, they only care about the private cost and the private benefit. They do not take into account the external cost or the external benefit, and therefore their decisions do not reflect the total cost or benefit from the point of view of society overall. So, to summarize, when you have a negative or a positive externality, the market fails because individuals are self-interested. They only care about the benefit or the cost to themselves. In the case of a merit or demerit good, it's a very different problem. It's not about self-interested individuals who do not care about the side effects of their consumption or production decisions. In the case of a merit or demerit good, it's a problem of information. Consumers suffer from an information failure. In particular, they are not fully aware of the true benefit of consuming a particular good or service, which means that in this case, there is a gap between the true benefit and what I call the perceived benefit, which is the benefit on which individuals will make their consumption decision. In the case of a merit good, the true benefit of consuming a particular good or service is larger than the perceived benefit. And in the case of a demerit good, it's the opposite. The true benefit of consuming a particular good or service is lower than the perceived benefit. So if we take two markets, one that would be the market for a merit good and the other one would be a market in which there is a positive externality, well, both markets would fail. And in both cases, there will be an under-provision of the good being traded, which means that the equilibrium quantity would be lower than the allocatively efficient output. And same thing if we take two markets, one that would be the market for demerit good and the other one would be a market in which there is a negative externality, then again, both markets would fail. In this case, we would have an over-provision, which means that the equilibrium output would be larger than the allocatively efficient output. But the bottom line is that the market fails for very different reasons. In the case of a positive or negative externality, the market fails because individuals don't care. They focus on their private cost or private benefit. They completely overlook the external cost or benefit. In the case of a merit or demerit good, the market fails because individuals don't know. It's a problem of information. And I do believe that it's extremely important to understand that merit goods, demerit goods, positive and negative externalities make the market fail for very different reasons. Because when it's time to discuss the effectiveness of different policy instruments aimed at restoring efficiency, it's clear that the answer depends on the type of market failure we are dealing with. In particular, if we just focus on merit, demerit goods, and externalities, it's clear that the provision of information will not be effective to fix a problem of externality. To conclude this video, I would like to show you the way I represent positive, negative externalities, merit and demerit goods using diagrams. Let's start with a negative externality. So the supply curve gives the marginal private cost. The demand curve gives the marginal private benefit. So here I focus on a negative externality, which means there is no positive externality. So the demand curve is also the marginal social benefit. So here is the market equilibrium. And let's introduce the negative externality. So I have a marginal external cost, which here is assumed to be constant. I can then represent the marginal social cost by adding marginal private cost and the marginal external cost, and I can find the allocatively efficient equilibrium at this level of output where the marginal social cost is equal to the marginal social benefit. Okay, so we see that we have a problem of overprovision since the market quantity is larger than the allocatively efficient output, which means that we have a deadweight loss right here. In the case of a positive externality, I will just show you very fast. That's pretty much what we have. There is a gap between the marginal social benefit and the marginal private benefit, which is equal to the marginal external benefit. Since there is no negative externality here, the marginal private cost is also equal to the marginal social cost. And we now have a problem of underprovision. The market quantity is lower than the socially optimal quantity. Okay, so usually there is no problem with that. Let me go to my diagrams about merit and demerit goods. So I have the supply curve, the demand curve. So individuals make their consumption decision on the basis of the benefit that they are aware of. So the demand curve is based on the marginal perceived benefit. And because this is a merit good, by the way, this is the market equilibrium, because this is a merit good, the marginal true benefit is actually higher than the marginal perceived benefit. And the gap that we have between those two curves is what I call the marginal unforeseen benefit, the benefit I am not aware of. And the socially efficient output or equilibrium is right there, this quantity, when the supply curve meets the marginal true benefit. And we see that in this case, there is an underprovision of the merit good since the market quantity is lower than the optimal quantity. And so we have a deadweight loss. And in the case of the demerit good, it's pretty much the same diagram. The only difference is now the marginal true benefit is lower than the marginal perceived benefit. So in this case, we have an overprovision. The market quantity is larger than the optimal quantity. So we still have a deadweight loss. So I want to stress that I have never seen this type of diagram anywhere. So be mindful if you make the decision to teach this type of content or this type of representation to your students. I think it's an accurate representation of merit and demerit goods, but frankly, I don't really know how examiners would react to this type of diagram. So yeah, just keep that in mind. We don't want our students to lose point just because we attempt to represent the concept in a more accurate way.